Hi. In 1998 or 97, but probably in the beginning of 1998, I was living in Cayenne, the capital of French Guyana. I was working on my first solo album, and I think I just got signed by Sony. We were about to do the mixing stage. I don't remember well exactly. So I used to work with a big artist in the West Indies called Jean-Michel Rotin. So I used to dance in his shows and also perform raps on a few of his songs like Zouk en nous or Sex. Jean-Michel was super famous. He's actually one of the most famous Zouk artists. He's one of the inventors of styles like Zouk R&B, which led to Kizomba. But he always had shitty managers. I used to always beef with his managers because I was already full of visions of how work could be done more efficiently. These managers would always put all the load, all the responsibilities on me, but they would never last. So I think by the time we went on tour between 96 and 98, we had like 3 different managers, booking agents, whatever you want to call them. After a point, I left. I went to Cayenne and I lived there for a whole year with my mentor, and I started working on my solo album. And Jean-Michel was back in Guadeloupe, then Martinique, and he was working on an album that we did together called Preview, which was me, him, a group called Organize, Rokenza, Christian. He was doing this album called Zouk is Dead. But because we had to do it, like we had to record it 3 times in a row, I got a little fed up, but I'll keep this for another story. And I went to move on and do my project. At a point, they needed me on the 3rd version of the album to go and re-sing all my vocals, all my raps. I flew from Cayenne to Martinique and spent 3 days there. And those 3 days, I just wrote anything that I didn't write yet and re-recorded it. I think a whole night I just recorded. Then the next night recorded. Then I had to bounce and go back to Cayenne because I was finishing my album. I had interviews, or I had the 8 o'clock news or something like that, so I had to go back. Jean-Michel asked me if I could perform to a show that he was doing in south of France. And I told him, oh, sorry, that date I can't do it because I'm actually presenting my album in Cayenne. This is my, not a release party because it was not to be released yet, but it was a presentation of my album to the people of my city where I was living. So I couldn't make it to his show. He was actually working on that show. I think, I don't know if he was his new manager back then or somebody he was doing something with as in terms of production of the show. I told them, I'm so sorry, I can't make it. I told him, and I have no idea what he told. I know now because it's been 20 years and I had the time to talk to everybody, but I don't know why, but I guess he or his team told her that I would come, and I have no clue why. Anyway, time passes by, a few months pass by, it's time for his event. And of course I'm not here because I'm doing my thing in Cayenne, right? While I'm doing my event at home, he's doing his event, and his manager slash partner on the event asked him, so where's your boy? And he responds to her, this guy, he's unreliable, you can't trust him, he has no word, blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, why the hell you have these type of friends? Yeah, they picked me in a way that has nothing to do with me. I'm super loyal. But if I already have an engagement, I cannot do your event. I don't know if they wanted to save face. I just didn't know what was going on. I learned years later that this is what happened. Me, I was cool, living my life in Cayenne, getting ready for my album, getting ready for my signature with Sony. Yeah, so they're doing their event. I'm not there, of course. So, of course, she now has a very bad image of me, right? When I come back from Cayenne, I'm hearing that Jean-Michel has a new manager. People around me are saying, wow, this time he's really with like this superstar manager. And me in the Zouk community, I never met a good manager at that point. Everybody's just trash. Me, I have no idea that she hates me. I mean, not she hates me, but she's pissed at me for not going to her event that I said I would go, supposedly. And he had a show, so we were still performing together. His manager would call me to arrange for me to come and get payment and whatever. And we were supposed to sing in a club called L'Atlantis, which was the biggest club for African music in Paris. So she calls me and she's super cold. And she's like, yes, hello, yeah, are you Kaysha? Yeah, oh yeah, Guylaine, I'm the manager of Jean-Michel. Oh yeah, nice to meet you. So, you know, I'm being cool. Yeah, I heard great things about you. And she's like, okay, I want to know, are you in France? Yes, I'm from France. Okay, can you make it to the show tonight? Yes, of course. I said I would come, so I'm here. She tells me, okay, I'll pick you up around at 2 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. I said, yeah, don't worry. I'll be waiting for you. 1:50, I'm here, dressed, backpack, waiting in the lobby of my building. And when she calls me at 2, she tells me that she's here. I just come out the door and I'm like, nice meeting you. And I'm all smiles and she's like, yeah, nice meeting you. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, oh yeah, you know, oh, I heard you from Cayenne. I lived in Cayenne 96 till mid 97 or 98 more or less. So great, we are from the same city. I used to live in Montjoly, blah 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 blah. I'm trying to, you know, be cool. And I think she was like not trying to be cool with me because she had of course something about this show that I supposedly didn't come. And at the same time, yeah, she heard bullshit about me, so she doesn't know me, and she's probably thinking, yeah, you're here giving me the small sweet talk, but deep down I know you're not somebody that I trust or whatever. But the boss wants me to work with you, so I guess we don't have a choice, right? We do the shows goes great, everything is perfect. So she tells me, you know, so she was happy, of course, after the show, and she was saying that I was very educated, and her too. We had some interesting conversation, and I was like, yeah, you know, and I was actually super happy. So I went to compliment her because I said, you're exactly what he needs, because his business has been super disorganized because of all the people he's been working before who were not to the caliber of his talent. And I'm happy that he has somebody like you, that you seem to be professional. So I'm glad to see that. She said thank you, and she said, are you free next week? Because we have a show in another city. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm here. I'm in Paris these days. I'm mixing my album, so every weekend I'm free. We start all working together. He was having a lot of shows. We're going lots of cities around Paris and outside Paris in France. Every time we go perform, because she lived near my house, she would always come pick me up first, and then we would talk on the way. And then she was starting to have a disbelief about everything she was told about me, that I was cocky, that I was my word had no value, a lot of crazy things that I have no idea that she thought all this about me, or that my friends were telling her things like this about me. I had no idea how this music world and the Zouk world works. Because to me, if you don't like me, you don't talk to me, or you don't work with me. I had no idea that all these people hate each other and they pretend. I don't pretend. I'm too honest to, if I don't like somebody, I don't even want to work with him. I don't even want to make money with somebody I don't like. But people are more complicated, I guess. They like you and they don't like you at the same time, or they like you for some things, but they hate you for some other things. They help you work on your projects, but at the same time, they say that you stole their public. It's very strange. Anyway, after doing a few shows, I remember we had a show in the suburbs of Paris called Évry-Courcouronnes. It was an amazing show. We had a lot of fun. After the show, we were really like happy. It was a great summer. So everybody went their way. So we went in her car, just me and her, and we are driving. I think the way from there to my house was something like 45 minutes. So we were starting to have our habits, having great conversation, lengthy conversations, and also we would always listen to the same album from Tanya Sanval, talk about future stuff, talk about vision, talk about, we were starting to bond. So now we are in probably summer 1998. Remember, we are on the road going, and I look at her and I tell her, you're gonna be my manager. You're gonna be my only manager that I'm gonna have my whole career. And she looks like me like, what the fuck is this dancer talking about? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to release my album. I'm about to sign at Sony, and you are the one I want. The perfect person for me to grow as an artist, grow as a person, and we're gonna do great things together. And she's driving and she's looking at me like, and she's not saying yes, she's not saying no. At the same time, she has to see with the artist she's working with, if he doesn't mind. At the same time, she doesn't really believe in what I'm saying. And I'm just saying, I'm going back to Cayenne soon, work on my mixes, and you will see. So I went back to Cayenne, I spent a few weeks there. I came back with a cassette, which had just 2 songs. We had a show somewhere, and on the way back from the show, I told her, you remember when I told you would be my manager? And she was like, yeah, I do. And I put out my tape. I play her telephone, and then I play her Bounce Baby. And she listens in the car. Once she's done listening, she looks at me and she says, this is not bad, huh? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, you actually serious about this shit? And I'm like, yep. And I'm telling you, you and me, we're going for a ride. She said, let me think about it. Alright. Then I signed my publishing deal with Sony, and I signed my recording contract with one of their sub-labels. August 1998. I don't remember the exact day, probably between the 1st and the 8th of August. We signed a 1-year contract with management just to test, just to see how we work. And she asked me a few questions, and she said, what do you want? I want my music to be heard all around the world. The small markets, the medium markets, the big markets. She told me, we're gonna do great things. And for the last 20 years, I only had one manager. Her name is Glenn Cleary. We are the 1st of August when I'm recording this. We are celebrating 20 years of amazing discoveries. We traveled all around the world. My music has been heard thanks to her and her hard work all around the world. We've been through tribulations, the joy and pain, the great shows and the shitty shows. We had a lifetime of adventures together. We really became brothers and sisters, way more than a work relation. We started working together. She had a daughter, she was 1. Now she's 21 or 22. I had no children, now I have 2. She was there when my son was born. She's here, my daughter's just born. We are family. I introduced her some artists. When she has doubts about things, she calls me. When I have doubts about things, I call her. Every time I had heartbreaks, she would be the one who would send me to another country just for me to be repaired. Like, she's been a sister, a mother, a business partner, a friend, somebody that I can trust. It is really emotional to know that in this world of traders and people that you can trust, I know that I have one person that I could always count on, and that we worked together for 20 years until last month when a friend of ours just became the head of Universal Music Africa for the French markets, and he hired her. It's an opportunity of a lifetime for her. I was the one who pushed her. I said, you have to accept the job. We are in a moment where the doors are opening and all the planets align. And this is this moment where you have to make the choices for the next 10 years. And I really told her, you have to do it. So I know that by telling her to accept this job, in a way, it's not that I'm losing my manager, but of course she cannot do the things she used to do for me. But at the same time, I'm super independent, so it's not that hard for me because we're always on the phone anyway. It's been 6 years that we don't even live in the same country, so we do everything by email, by WhatsApp. With technology today, but she's moving on to something else, and I just want to commend her for her achievements, commend us for 20 years together, 20 years of doing great things. We did great things. We impressed more than one person, and I really wish her the best on her new job, hopefully being in a new position of power, and me too being in new positions of power too, because I'm moving behind the scenes too. Our relationship is changing again to something else. We really have been artist and manager, friends and brothers and sisters, and business partners, and we did a lot of things together. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see in the next few years how our business relation is gonna evolve now that she's working for Universal. The synergies that we're gonna be able to create at a time when it's time to grow. You cannot just stay there because you want to keep this relationship going forever. At a point, you have to leave one state to become something else. So as she comes here and I'm going here, we're gonna create a new relationship of work, and it's gonna be amazing. I'm super pumped, super excited for her. I really wish her well, really. It's gonna be amazing times. The world is changing, the business of music is changing, and we have to change. It's something that I've been telling everybody forever. I'm happy that my team, my people, my family are all moving. We are all moving. We are all going forward to new destinations. So anyway, congratulations to you, Guylaine. Make me proud. Kick ass out there in Ivory Coast, Abidjan, Africa. Bless.